The haunting tale of Madame Koi Koi. In the stillness of the night, when the world is steeped in slumber, a sound breaks the silence. Koi, 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 it echoes down dim hallways and across creaking wooden floors, growing louder with each passing second. For those who dare to listen, fear takes hold, because that sound signals one thing. She is near. Madame Koi Koi. Tonight, we unravel the eerie legend of Madame Koi Koi, the ghostly figure bound to an old boarding school. A spirit whose story whispers of the bloodlines between discipline, tragedy, and revenge. Keep the lights on, dear viewers, for what you are about to hear will chill you to the bone. Picture an old boarding school, long corridors where the slightest movement stirs shadows on the walls. The floors creak under invisible weight, the air carries secrets in its stillness, and the whispers of students linger in every corner. At first glance, it's an ordinary school, but at night, its ordinary facade fades. These schools, places of learning and discipline, also have another side. They are breeding grounds for lore and mystery. Within their fence walls, cut off from the outside world, tales grow like ivy on bricks. Over generations, one legend has taken root here more firmly than any other, the ghost of Madame Koi Koi. The ambience of this place almost feels designed for a haunting. Dim light bulbs hum faintly, casting flickering shadows. The silence is thick, broken only by the occasional echo of footsteps. And should those footsteps sound rhythmic and deliberate, like koi, 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 every student knows to stop and listen. Before she was a figure of fear, Madame Koi Koi was a teacher. Students recount her as both refined and formidable, a woman of elegance, dripping with authority. She commanded attention in the classroom, her voice cutting through adolescent chatter like a cold blade. Her signature: a pair of red heels. Polished, spotless, and loud, they preceded her entrance and announced her presence. Every step she took left behind the unmistakable sound of koi, koi, koi. To hear those heels was to know that Madame Koi Koi was near. But her beauty and elegance masked a darker edge. Madame Koi Koi was known for her strictness. She believed in order, discipline, and an unyielding set of rules. Many students feared her punishments, harsh as they were often perceived to be. Some claimed she lacked compassion. And then, one fateful day, she was gone. The death of Madame Koi Koi is shrouded in ambiguity. Some say it was an accident, an unfortunate misstep during an argument with unruly students. Others believe her end was no accident at all. A push, a shove, perhaps a long-brewing test for revenge. The day she died, the school halls went quiet. Her red heels echoed one last time before she tumbled down the stairs, lifeless. But rumors have a way of outliving the truth. Whispers of her final moments varied. She struck her head on the banister. She screamed, promising vengeance. Even before her burial, students claimed there was something unnatural about the way her body was found. Tragedy left a scar on the school. But Madame Koi Koi wasn't finished yet. For her spirit refused to rest. The legend of Madame Koi Koi began almost immediately after her death. Students started hearing things, late at night, as silence draped itself over the dormitories. It always started the same way. A faint sound in the distance, koi, 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 the unmistakable echo of heels striking the floor, growing louder, closer. Those brave, or foolish, enough to investigate often claimed they saw her. Tall and poised, her face pale, her figure shrouded in shadows. Her red heels, however, always gleamed like fresh blood. Her appearances were not without purpose. Students who stayed out past curfew, breaking school rules, found themselves meeting Madame Koi Koi in the dead of night. Some say she would stand at the end of the hallway, watching. Others claim she seemed to glide closer when confronted, her footsteps relentless. Over time, the story evolved beyond mere sightings. Students insisted that her spirit harbored vengeful intent, targeting those with a rebellious streak. "She's watching," they'd whisper. "She knows when we disobey." The testimonies about Madame Koi Koi are chilling, laced with spine-tingling detail. Many speak of the haunting sound of her heels, a steady, rhythmic koi, 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 that seems to chase them, even when they are alone. Several students claim to see her shadow stretch across a moonlit window, only to turn and find the space behind them empty. One account comes from a former student who, as a child, tried sneaking into the cafeteria past bedtime. A song hummed softly in the distance, accompanied by faint heels on the tiles. Terrified yet curious, the child peered down the long corridor. There she was, silent, watching with an expression both serene and menacing. The student fled and later woke to a strange sensation, red marks on their arm, as if someone had grasped them in the darkness. Another recalls her image reflected in a dormitory mirror, pale lips curved in a cold smile. The lights began to flicker, and the student swore the reflection moved closer, even though the glass remained upright. Part of what makes Madame Koi Koi so terrifying is her proximity. Her haunting presence feels personal. It's not just her sound, it's the knowledge that she's always listening, always waiting for someone to break the rules. For the students, the very space they inhabit, a place of learning, laughter, and routine, transforms under her shadow. The same corridors they walk by daylight feel endless and foreboding as the sun sets. The steps they climb each morning become daunting when shrouded in darkness. Psychologically, she represents fear of authority. Her spirit is a manifestation of student guilt, rebellion, and the consequences of disobedience. Did they earn her wrath? Or is she cruel even beyond the grave? Madame Koi Koi's story is deeply rooted in Nigerian folklore, passed down through generations of boarding school students. Like many urban legends, it examines authority, morality, and the tension between discipline and cruelty. The role of oral storytelling in perpetuating her tale cannot be overstated. Each retelling is like a thread added to the tapestry, ensuring Madame Koi Koi remains relevant across decades. The Ghost of the Red Hills may embody specific cultural fears, but her story has gained a universal appeal, one that speaks to the fears of young minds across cultures. While her tale terrifies, it also serves as a warning. A reminder to take rules and authority figures seriously, or risk suffering the same punishments she once meted out in life. The haunting details of Madame Koi Koi reflect her lingering power. Her red heels, for instance, are more than just a fashion statement, they are the enduring symbol of her presence. Their sound becomes a harbinger of danger, growing louder with every heartbeat. Her name itself, Koi Koi, evokes the sound of movement, as if she is forever prowling unseen hallways. It is a name both simple and terrifying, lodging itself in memory like a whispered warning. In life, her heels symbolized elegance and authority. In death, they embody menace and persistence. These small details make her legend unforgettable, rooting her image firmly in the fears of anyone who's heard her tale. Madame Koi Koi still remains relevant with each new generation of students. Boarding schools continue to share her story by torchlight, passing along cautionary tales to wide-eyed newcomers. And with the rise of social media, her story has traveled far beyond the physical walls of the schools she haunts. The fascination lies in her duality. She is terrifying yet strangely compelling, a ghost of elegance and horror. She bridges the realm of morality and the supernatural, leaving behind questions no one dares to answer aloud. Her legend endures for one reason above all else: it feels real. Every knock, every echo in the hallway could be her. Every shadow cast by a flickering bulb might be her figure watching in silence, waiting for another rule breaker to step onto her path. As we end this tale, we invite you to imagine her. Picture the old school corridors, the eerie quiet, the suffocating darkness. Picture her red heels, gleaming as they pace the hallways, the sound punctuating the silence. And as the clock strikes midnight, listen carefully. Can you hear it? Koi, koi, koi. Perhaps she's still out there. Koi, 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 watching. Listen. Waiting for her next visitor. Good night, dear viewer. And sweet dreams, if you can sleep.